Alright, so y'all, LakerFan here. As I can see by the title of today's video, got the Season 3 ranking of shooting badges and tiers in NBA 2K22 Next Gen, so I hope y'all enjoy. If you do, for drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on noties, all that good stuff, and like always, try to 1 in 1,000 likes. Now, for anybody who's new to the series, the text color is going to indicate what the Season 2 ranking was. So, this is obviously Season 3, this video is for Season 3, and whatever my color is going to indicate what it was for Season 2. So, set shooter was in the E tier, we had anything with blue in the D tier, anything with green in the C, yellow B, orange A, S, red. Simple. So anyway, we're gonna get right into the video. I hope y'all enjoy, and like I said, if you do, for drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. So with set shooter, we're gonna repeat this badge. We have nothing coming in the F tier, and we're gonna put set shooter in the E tier. I feel like this badge is pretty straightforward. The longer you wait and stand still with the ball in your hands to shoot the ball, then the bigger you're gonna get on that shot boost the longer you wait. So long story short, I don't think set shooter is really a comp badge. I will say though, I had a little bit of an eye-opening thing with this badge. If you're a slasher, like someone who has like 60 to 70 3-pointer or something like that, and you really struggle on your three, you maxed out your wingspan, you went super tall, or just whatever the case may be. If you're playing 1v1 court and people are sagging off of you like crazy because you're just going crazy on the contact dunks and rim runs and stuff like that, what you can do is you can just wait there, and until they get to the point where they feel like they're actually going to step up and contest you, and boom, just like that, you're getting bigger boost for as long as you wait. So I feel like set shooter is only good for actual slashers out there who really like to live by the rim run or just go into the paint and going for contact dunks. And if they sag off on you enough to where you're comfortable and confident enough to shoot the ball with your low 3-point rating, then boom, you're getting that boost right there, and it's really convenient. I would say it's more of a 1v1 court badge though, if that is the case, but overall, not exactly a very good badge. That's why we have it in the E tier. All right, next badge on the list, we have volume shooter, making the jump from the D tier to the B tier. I just want to clarify to anybody who's watching this that there are two main reasons that I would either jump or drop a badge on this tier list. Number one is going to be the gameplay got adjusted or patched, nerfed, whatever the case is that you want to talk about, to where the badge no longer works as well as it did before, or it saw a buff and now it's better than it was before. The second one is me just being either misinformed, I didn't know enough about the badge, or I just didn't think it fit into the meta. Volume shooter obviously does fit in the meta. The more the point guard shoots the ball, the bigger the boost he's going to get. You can just jack shots. If you combine this with having an inside big who's just constantly crashing offensive rebounds, super tall, it gets glitchy. And with this badge, it also kind of does encourage bad play style, or it really helps bad players bail them out to an extent, because obviously if you're taking bad shots or it's bad shot selection, it's still going to keep on boosting the next one and the next one and the next one. So realistically, it's just kind of for ball chucking point guards that keep on launching threes left and right. So it obviously does fit into the meta of that. Some people might disrespect this playstyle or really hate on it. I understand, but overall, it does fit into the meta of the game pretty well. We have it in the B tier. Next up, we got clutch shooter, moving from the D tier to the C tier. I don't think this is really on the same level as volume shooter, if you ask me, because volume shooter can work throughout the whole course of the game. Clutch shooter is obviously kind of secluded to a certain part of the park game or pro-am game especially too, and it really just doesn't fit into the use of your badge points really well, if you ask me. However, it is still a pretty good boost that you see on the shooting. But once again, you won't even see this badge used for like literally at least 70% of the game. In park, it's a little bit more accessible. For pro-am, it's really not even suggested at all to run, if you ask me. It just really eats up your badge points. I think bronze or silver is probably the highest you should ever put this, to be honest with you. To the point where if it starts costing 2 points to get it up any further, aka if it costs 2 to put it on silver but then 4 to put it on gold, I would probably just stop at silver, keep it as simple as that. And if it costs like 3 to put it on silver, I'd probably just keep it on bronze for 1 point. Overall, I think clutch shooter is a pretty decent badge. You definitely see a big increase in the shots you can make, and you make some BS, man. I'm gonna agree with you guys. Someone did a 40% contest white on us in pro-am 4 game, and I have to just imagine and assume that clutch shooter played some factor into that, to be honest with you. It was a fadeaway too at that. So long story short, I do think this badge is pretty good. It's very specific in the times of the game that it's actually going to activate in the first place. All right, so our next badge is going to be slippery off ball. Now, for season 1, I had this in the F tier. I felt like it was completely useless. There was no sense in running this badge. And on top of that too, if you made it inside big, you don't get just 1 shooting badge. You literally get 0. So there's no point in doing this. Now, if you create a rebirth inside big man, it gives you 1 out of 0 shooting badges. Believe me or not, you can do this yourself if you want to see it. But if you create a build that has 0 on any category as a rebirth, it creates it with 1 out of 0 badge points in that aspect. Now, if you go high enough on the close shot with an inside big man, it forces your mid-range to be at a certain point where you can actually unlock slippery off ball anyway. So with that said, it is the one badge you can put on as an inside big man for shooting that is actually going to benefit you. Now, if you're talking just general use of this badge, like for shooting PGs or shooting guards, small forwards, whatever the case may be, even a pop or power forward, whatever the case may be, I don't really think this badge sees that much of utility in that sense. I just think this is a badge that you put on an inside big man if you have 1 out of 0 shooting badge points. Simple as that. If you want to run on bronze on something, if you're running like a shooting guard, you're doing a lot of off-ball movement, I guess I understand, but overall, I don't really think this is worth your badge points. You may as well just use something that's going to help you shoot the ball, if you ask me. All right, so next up, staying in the C tier, we have Rhythm Shooter. This is going to work for shooting off of size ups. Most specifically, I feel like this is going to work really well for people who have the Curry slide on their build. Now, this is the one thing about this badge that I've been beefing with since the start of the game. If we see the Curry slide universally added to the game, where you don't have to use one of those glitch builds from season 2, so if anybody's just really not understanding what I'm talking about right here, essentially, you could create your build in the test builder in season 2, and it allowed you to glitch the Curry slide onto your build as long as you kept on trying, and it just gave you that size up escape package. Long story short, you can't do that anymore, so now only a very specific area of the game even has the Curry slide. Now, if they ever release this entirely, I think this probably becomes a B tier badge, because people shooting off the Curry slide is very casual friendly. You guys get the deal. I mean, literally, you see very many people do that in 2K21 Next Gen. You saw plenty of people doing that in just every game that this Curry slide's been involved in. And overall, it doesn't really completely deteriorate this badge by not having the Curry slide in the game. I just think that shooting off of size ups is most commonly done with the Curry slide. But overall, I mean, you can do like crabs and boom, it still works for that. You can do any size of escape and boom, it's going to work for that. Trae Young is even still accessible to this off doing the size of escape. So overall, it is what it is. I mean, Rhythm Shooter is still a pretty good badge, but I don't think it's one that people live and die by with their shooting or anything like that. Like for instance, stop and pop or Circus 3s now are really big time things where you can just quick stop or you can fade with Circus 3s now. Overall, I just think Rhythm Shooter doesn't really compare to either of those two, so we have it in the C tier. Another badge we have staying in the C tier is going to be Fade Ace. This is going to be one that is only tied to post fades. It's nothing to do with like mid-range fades or anything like that, or just dribble pull-ups, whatever the case may be. Fade Ace is still very good though. I will say post fades and just post hooks just in general, they're very slept on in this game if you ask me. Combine that with a decent mid-range shot and some good height, I will say, then all of that together, you're really just like greening these things like crazy. I've seen it firsthand with Tonic, if you guys are familiar with him from the Pro-Am wagers that we did, or just any Pro-Am gameplay in general. Post fades, post hooks, the list goes on and on. They're very makeable in this game, and if you run the corresponding badges with them and also understand your timing on them, they go in like crazy and super contested too. Combine that with being tall, like I said, it just really goes insane. So overall, I just don't think it fits the meta of the game super heavy though. So like example being, if you're playing 3v3, there's not a lot of sense in doing post fades. I mean, contested 2s are just the kryptonite of that game. Now for Pro-Am, I think this fits really, really well. If you have like someone that's super tall with the ball in his hands and he has a mismatch on him, boom, you can go with those post fades over him and they really can't do anything to contest it. And then on top of that too, you can crash the big man for the rebound as well. I think in the rec center, this would probably work really well too, where if you get a smaller matchup on you, like you're coming in there with maybe like a super tall power forward and you have like a 6'7" or a 6'8" on you, you could easily work those post fades and really still deal with those inside bigs that are camping the paint. For 2v2, it's also still good, so maybe I'm sleeping on this badge. I think it probably could be B tier too. It's just for the sake of 3v3, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be conventional for the gameplay, and I just think overall putting it in C tier is probably the safer thing to do. All right, next up we have Limitless Spot Up, moving down from the C tier to the D tier. Every single list that we've done so far, we have moved this badge down a tier. In season 1, I thought it was going to be a pretty good badge, just off of kind of judging it without so much gameplay, so I had it in the B tier. For season 2, we moved it down to the C tier, and now for season 3, we're moving Limitless Spot Up down to the D tier. I feel like these two badges go hand in hand, Chef and Limitless Spot Up, and you will see, I'll just kind of spoil it right now, we do move Chef down to the C tier. Overall, I think both these badges just don't work the way that you want them to. They should be something that you have to use as a guard or a spot up on the wing or anything like that, but it's such an unconventional range that you have to shoot the ball from for these to even activate that I feel like they're not even worth it to an extent. And the only thing it really unlocks is to be able to sit really, really deep on the hash in Pro-Am, and the only thing that Chef unlocks is the ability to work pick and roll super, super deep outside the hot zones in the first place. And I don't think that's even an area that a lot of people intend to shoot the ball from anywhere unless they have Limitless Takeover on. In that case, Limitless Takeover does exactly what you want these two badges to do anyway. So I just don't think that they're very conventional badges to run. I'm putting Chef a little bit higher because at least makes a little bit of sense to run as a point guard. For Limitless Spot Up, the only place you should ever even touch this badge, most likely, is going to be Pro-Am. And even at that, I'd probably just stay like silver, maybe gold if you're playing the hash. I don't think you're shooting from that deep in the first place most times anyway. So overall, both these badges, they definitely are just moving down a tier in every list that we've done so far. Alright, so next, moving from the C tier to the B tier, we have lucky number 7. This is going to be a badge that is mostly tied to fast break if you ask me. So for Pro-Am especially, it's a really good badge for locks or anybody that's running the break to be having. It's just going to let you bang every single 3 in transition. And I gotta say, man, fast break is ruling Pro-Am as we speak. I mean, it really is crazy. Defense, fast break, live and die by just making your whites like crazy off lucky number 7 too, combined with corner specialist, catch and shoot. I mean, the list goes on and on. Hot zone hunter, sniper, all these badges combined to just let everybody literally hit their open shots on fast break, especially, you know, all things considered with lucky number 7 of what we're talking about right here. So lucky number 7, like I said, if you shoot the ball within the first 7 seconds of the shot clock, you are going to receive a really big boost. And with that as well, it works for mid-range, 3-pointer, whatever you want to talk about. All you have to do is watch the shot clock. If it's under 17, it's not going to work. I'm pretty positive that this doesn't work also if people foul and then the shot clock stays below 16 or 17. So long story short, you have to shoot the ball before 17. At least that's my perception. If you guys know for a fact and you want to put it in the comments that lucky number 7 works below 16 as long as there is a foul, you can go ahead and let me know that, or just let me know that I am right if you feel like you know that as well. I'm just looking for feedback on your guys' perspective on this too, but I'm pretty positive that this doesn't work as long as the shot clock is under 17, no matter what the situation is. All right, so next up, staying in the B tier, we have Green Machine. This is going to be a badge that's pretty, like, I gotta say, it's probably not going anywhere. Like, it's never going to go higher or lower on this list, if you ask me. I think Green Machine isn't as good as it was in years past, where it just, you don't really see that much of a shot boost. It's not as convenient to activate either. Just overall, I don't think a lot of guards are really messing with Green Machine this year, especially not the lockdowns either. There's a lot of other better things to use your badge points on, but a lot of people do consistently run this on bronze or silver. I feel like people just can't really break up with it, you know. It's the toxic relationship that nobody can ditch or anything like that. But overall, Green Machine, it's just kind of a glue badge that nobody's gonna let go of, but it's not super good or anything like that. I do think though, and I feel like a lot of people would think this as well, that you should have this on at least bronze or silver if you're running as a point guard, and probably bronze if you're playing as an off-ball spot up. I mean, there's really no reason not to. It would still only cost 1 badge point. It can't hurt you that much, but realistically, I think this is still a decent badge. Next up, we got difficult shots, staying in the B tier. This is a very hard badge to rank though. I feel like it really depends on what court you're playing. So if you're talking 2v2, this is probably an S tier, A tier badge. Fading mid-range on 2v2 is just absolutely devious. You pair this with doing pick and roll and your big man is just filling into the paint. The guy on the hedge has to step out, and if he does step out, it's a free rebound for the big man. It's really a toxic playstyle if you ask me. Screens with mid-range on 2v2 is so toxic. It really can't be defended. You'll see a lot of people streaking on 2s off doing strictly just that. So for 2v2, I think difficult shots is literally an S tier badge. You got to put it up here with some of these best shooting badges if you're talking 2s. But for Pro-Am and 3v3, we'll talk about 3v3 first and foremost specifically. So for 3v3, difficult shots, fading to the mid-range, I don't think that's super viable if you ask me. I think you live and die by 3-pointers or pick and roll slips or just rim run dunks. If you're ISOing, you live and die by the 3-pointer or rim run dunks. If you're pick and rolling, you live by the 3-pointer or slips to the paint, whatever the case may be, or pick and pops to the big man, whatever you're looking at, or down in your corner in either situation. You guys get what I'm saying. But anyway, for 3v3, I don't think point guards going to the mid-range and fading is really by any means like comp or super viable. And then just overall, mid-range, just 2-pointers, they don't really rule 3v3 in the first place. Now for Pro-Am, I want to talk about why I feel like this is maybe an overrated badge for Pro-Am in a lot of you guys' perspective. So I think a lot of people might look at this badge as super necessary for Pro-Am for point guards. For me though, what I've seen firsthand in Pro-Am is a lot of people use like quick stop mid-range. So they either are going to crab the PG and shoot the mid-range on him, or ideally they're looking for the 3-pointer off that, but either way, it's not too much fading to the mid-range. Or if you want to talk very specific, there's sets called 2-man game where it's pretty much pick and roll or pick and pop with the point guard using screens from the shooting guard, and then the center is going to go and just sit down in the paint. And essentially the point guard is looking to get to that mid-range very often off 2-man game. And like I said, it's going to be a lot of quick stopping to the mid, and you're not doing a lot of fading or, you know, like anything to do with dribble pull-ups when it comes to mid-range and Pro-Am. So overall, difficult shots in Pro-Am, I would say is probably like C tier, maybe even D tier. For 2v2, it's S tier, and for 3v3, it's probably once again C or D tier. I'm just putting it at B just to kind of average those two things out, but overall, it's still a solid badge at what you want it to do. All right, and while we're on that note as well of the whole variance between 2v2, 3v3, and Pro-Am, and how this affects like play styles as well, I feel like one thing we really need to talk about is the play styles that concern catch and shoot and corner specialists. So obviously, if you're a corner spot up, you are just sitting corner in Pro-Am or 3v3, you obviously want corner specialists and catch and shoot on the highest level you can get it. It's S tier, it's literally S plus for corner spot ups, obviously. If you're just sitting there and waiting for the ball, clearly things to do with sitting there and waiting for the ball are catch and shoot and corner specialists. So you absolutely have to have these on S tier plus. It's literally the 2 best badges you can have in the game as far as shooting is concerning. Maybe sniper is up there instead, but who knows. Anyway, long story short, you obviously want those if you're a corner spot up. For the pick and poppers, I feel like this varies. Obviously, you don't really need corner, but you would want catch and shoot, so it really makes sense. I want to talk mostly for this B tier area for point guards. I feel like corner specialists and catch and shoot are kind of slept on from PGs. They'd be forgetting that, the ball can end up in someone else's hands and then you would get it back. Catch and shoot, boom. On bronze or silver, it just cashes out. You really want this. I've seen it firsthand with my point guard too. Really struggles to do catch and shoot shots when he doesn't have it on. And it's even been verbalized from him too. And then for corner specialists as well, if you have this on bronze or silver, you're fading to the corner. Combine that with Circus 3s that we will talk about in a second here. I feel like you combine corner specialists with Circus 3s, you're looking crazy on them fades. It's a PG. Alright, so now we get our first look at an S tier or A tier badge for the shooting. I gotta say, it really is dominated by these top 6 badges right here in terms of the top badges in the game. But Circus 3s is one that has been slept on in seasons past, and the reason for this is Circus 3s has seen a buff. So nowadays, this works for fadeaway 3-pointers. It did not originally work for fadeaway 3s. It was strictly hop jumpers, like spin jumpers, step backs, whatever the case may be. That was the only thing it really pertained to. Now, with the new, I think it was like an update somewhere in season 2 where it actually like touched this, and you saw fades start to become a new, like kind of, I'm not gonna sit here and say meta, but fading 3-pointers is something you've seen a lot more people do. And with that as well, I gotta say, man, fading to that corner is crazy. And I've even still seen people doing dribble pull-ups to the top of the key from kind of deep too, and it's really crazy. I feel like Circus 3s is a little bit slept on still even, and in my opinion, it has to be an S tier badge. All right, next up we have Deadeye also moving up to the S tier. I gotta say, all the contested shots that you guys have probably been seeing in season 3, it really is ridiculous, bro. I mean, I don't know what happened in this. Maybe we're just getting higher contests because of the Intimidator buff, but they're still going in. I've seen like literally 30s and 40s going in, not super consistently. I don't want to like drag it too much, you know what I mean? I mean, people do still miss very consistently the super contested shots, but I've seen a lot more of them go in than they normally did than in seasons past, like 1 and 2 in season 3 now. And I have to sit here and think it's credited to Deadeye to an extent, and obviously, this badge is still good, regardless of if it's like letting you hit 40s. I mean, it's still going to let you hit those 5s, 7s, 8s super consistently. You pair this with the other 2 badges that negate contests, for instance, blinders and mismatch expert. It really is crazy how this combo works. Now, here's the thing, man. This is going to be something I've never done in a tier list before, but I feel like what separates all 7 of these badges right here, like everything from these 5 right here that were already S tier, and then these 2 that I feel like are a little bit better than I saw in previous games, I really do feel like, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, the gap between these badges right here and all 7 of these badges right here is really tremendous, if you ask me. I mean, they do not compare in the sense of overpoweredness or just being OP. So, what we did was we had to shrink these down because this isn't going to fit, but this is what we are going to do. I'm telling you guys, I believe in this very confidently that this is how this tier list is going to be going and how this belongs. We are putting literally 7 badges in the S tier, straight like that. So, let's talk about them a little bit. We have, obviously, we already talked about Deadeye and Circus 3s. We're going to talk about Stop and Pop first and foremost, because I feel like if there's any 2 badges that you could knock down at the A tier, it's maybe Circus 3s and Stop and Pop. And now it's just because they kind of counteract each other. So, you could either be doing quick stops or you could be doing fades. The fact that you're not only quick stopping now, and how it was originally in patch 1 or 2, is you wanted to always quick stop. You never would want to fade. So that made Circus 3s way worse, and it made Stop and Pop way better. Now that they kind of counteract each other, and you kind of have to run both of them if you wanted to be able to do both, I do feel like it's maybe arguable that you could drop either of them to A tier, and then all of these badges, though, really have to belong in S. So with Hot Zone Hunter, the absolute standard of shooting badges in 2K22 Next Gen, or just any 2K, in like all the way back to 2K20. I mean, Hot Zone Hunter is obviously something that everybody runs. You combine it with hot zones, it works for literally pick and poppers, spot up corner 3s, spot up wings, anything to do with the point guard, shooting any shot anywhere. If you have all your hot zones too and you play 2v2, I promise you, you're literally unguardable. Like, if you have every mid-range hot zone, every 3-point hot zone as a PG on 2v2, and you're running difficult shots, Circus 3s, Hot Zone Hunter, Stop and Pop, mismatch expert, blinders, deadeye, all types of stuff, sniper. I mean, the list goes on and on, bro. You literally are unguardable from every aspect of the game. It's insane. And obviously, like I said, Hot Hunter is just the standard S tier badge for shooting. We all know this belongs here, and that's where it is to stay. Now, we're going to talk about blinders and mismatch expert together because it kind of goes hand in hand. I feel like not many builds run blinders in terms of like corner spot ups or anything like that, unless they can have mismatch expert also working. And just in general, I think this is more of a PG badge, mismatch expert and blinders. So for mismatch, you obviously have to be smaller than the defender, and if you're that much more smaller, like I think it's about like 6 or 7 inches is where you really see like the biggest difference. So for if you're like 5'9" and you're going at like a 6'5" or something like that, you're gonna see a very big difference in terms of how easily you can make those contested shots. Now, what I want to talk about though is the intimidator buff and how it really is helping taller builds be able to combat that mismatch expert, and you're actually able to contest people on the perimeter. However, if you don't have mismatch expert against that intimidator buff, I think you're seeing an absolute, just you're getting railed on those percentage contests, and you have to have mismatch expert to combat the intimidator buff. So overall, I think mismatch expert still belongs in the S tier 100%. Blinders is going to be something that obviously negates contest from the side. So for crabs, any types of size ups that you're getting people on your hip, or just in general people being in the wrong spot on defense and having to jump for the contest, the list goes on and on. Sniper is obviously elite, and it just drops the amount of contests that you get on anything to do with contesting from the side, and it's just elite. You can't really talk about it even more than that, to be honest with you. So now, the absolute #1 undisputed best badge in the game, not anything better with it. I'm talking no better finishing badge, no better playmaking badge, no better defensive badge, and no better shooting badge at all. The best badge in the game, undisputed, is Sniper. Now, running it on a Hall of Fame is absolutely what you want, but here's the thing about it too, and we're going to pop on the Elgato for this too. I really want to put so much emphasis on this right here, and it really bugs me to an extent. So if you ask me, this is the problem with Sniper. You can see what you have to achieve the Hall of Fame level on this is only 80 mid-range or 80 3-pointer. Literally every build in the game except for a 7'3" max wingspan can get this badge on Hall of Fame. It's ridiculous. It's stupid if you ask me. I don't think people with 75 3-pointer and 80 mid-range should be able to have this by any means. I don't think people with, I think you can literally have 74 3-pointer and 80 mid-range and you still have it. Or to even just have 80 3-pointer and no mid-range at all is still so stupid to be able to get Hall of Fame Sniper. I feel like literally the requirements for this should be going up every level. So for instance, you can see in the bottom right, I really feel like you should have 64 of anything to be able to get bronze Sniper, 72 of anything to get silver, and then like 80 of anything to be able to get gold, and then like 90 something I really feel like is the aspect that you should have for Hall of Fame Sniper. It really is ridiculous to me. I think it really just kind of does ruin the game to an extent, because as you can see, jump shots taken with slightly early / slightly late timing will receive a boost. And then here's the worst part too. You can see it says while early or late shots will receive a bigger penalty. I really feel like you shouldn't be able to make earlies or lates at all while running this badge on Hall of Fame. And the higher level you have it, I feel like it should be penalized even more. I'm not sure that's the case. I've literally seen my teammates hit earlies and lates. I don't want to sit here and stretch it and act like it happens super consistently, but it does still happen, and I feel like you shouldn't even be able to make an early or a late when you're running Hall of Fame Sniper. Literally ever. I don't think that should ever happen, because it makes it so easy to hit your slightly lates and slightly earlies, and it's just ridiculous if you ask me to have this on the Hall of Fame level. I'm getting it very soon on my 6'9". I'm still working on that build, y'all. I'm going like super hard trying to max out my 7-footer for Pro-Am that I'm going to try and run some. I've been using the 7'3", trying to run the Combine for 2K League, all types of stuff like that. Overall, I just haven't had a lot of time to hop on and grind that 6'9" or anything like that. So I'm working on it. But anyway, long story short, this is what we're looking at for the tier list right here. We don't have any A tier badges at all. And again, I feel like the gap between these B tier badges and these S tier badges is ridiculous. I don't think any badge in this list belongs in the A tier. I don't think any badge in the B area belongs in the A tier either. Once again, if you want to talk like, you know, obviously for difficult shots, it belongs up here for 2v2, catch and shooting corner specialist. If you're a spot up in the corner, obviously you want this at the Hall of Fame level, so it's got to be S tier too. But it's really, you guys can let me know what you think too. Let me know if you think something belongs in the A tier and what that badge is. I think that's a pretty controversial aspect of this video right here though, that I don't have any A tier badges, but again, I really do feel like the gap between these is very tremendous. Like all of these top 7 badges right here for shooting, they are elite. They're so good at what you want them to do. And then all of these are kind of just accessory badges. But I do feel like you're running this on every single point guard build, all of these badges on Hall of Fame, without a doubt, literally. Now maybe if it doesn't fit your style, Circus 3s isn't exactly that, but I promise you if you're using it to the ability that it can be used, it's ridiculously glitchy. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. Like fading is so good combined with that Trae Young fade too. And you've seen a lot of point guards going out here and just going crazy with it as well. But anyway, that's all for the video. I hope y'all enjoyed. If you did, drop a like, sub if you're new, turn on the noties, all that good stuff. Like always, try to 1,000 likes. If you made it to the end of the video, put shot or sharp in the comments to show your support that made all the way through to the end of the video. And other than that, also feel free to leave your feedback in the comments. I know these videos are getting a little bit played out, but there are a couple of changes per season that we want to do. I apologize if this isn't everybody's favorite content anymore in terms of, you know, we do this every 40 days or so now. So it's going to be some things that, you know, stay in the areas that they belong. Like Green Machine Difficult Shot stayed. We had Rhythm Shooter and Fade stay. We had, you know, Slippery Off Ball stay in the D tier. I feel like there was a little bit of movement with these, but obviously, you know, some of these top tier badges, they're just going to stay. And that's what a lot of people do care about. So I do understand these videos might not see the crazy views or anything like that they did at the beginning of the season, but it is what it is. I just want to update you guys on my opinions of all the badges. So that's what we've done now. All 4 videos have been done. If you want to check out the playmaking, finishing, or defense, those are already up as you're watching this right now. We will maybe do the takeovers as well pretty soon. I'm not sure when I'm going to get to those, but it's going to be an option that I'll get to eventually. So anyway, that's all for the video. Hope y'all enjoyed. None of that. Take it easy, man. Peace.